And it's Dan and James talking about the Villa games. Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to the AVFC Faithful, joined, of course, by Dan and James, talking about the Villa games, and in particularly one Villa game in particular today.
Yeah, well, we should clarify that we're recording this straight after the fucking Zrinjski game.
Yeah. You can probably tell by the fact that there'll be just silent smiles for most of this, I reckon.
Yeah, relief, and just, oh God, we needed that. Just got over that. I mean, the second half we were much better, and we deserved it in the end. But bloody hell, did we make it hard for 90 minutes?
I mean, it wouldn't be Villa if we didn't, really, is it? You can win 10 Premier League games at home, but you've still got to make your first home group stage game in the Europe difficult, and we did. But it makes it a little bit more sweeter, don't it? Like the Palace game was sweet because it was so late, and I feel like the limbs would have been appropriate had we scored anyway. But those last minute limbs in the whole end is just something beautiful, aren't they? And I know they prefer to do it and prefer to attack the whole end in the first half, but that's why we do it in the second half for that exact reason.
Well, the last minute winners are, what is probably the best way to win. I just think that build up of emotion, it comes out and you get the movement in the stands like that and the relief. And even though you'd rather be beating Zrinjski like 3-4-0, it's football. Just get caught up in that, because we needed that so bad. It was so important to get that first win in Europe in the group stages, and now, I think that'll breathe life into the rest of the squad now. I really do, for the rest of the competition, because it was a poor first half in general, because it was a bit slow, it was a bit predictable, and just too many touches. It was like we didn't want to lose the ball because we knew what the threat was in behind, but we also wanted to play forwards and pin them back, but wasn't really happening in the first half. Particularly Tielemans was pretty poor, to be fair, but I think he did a lot better in the second half, especially as the game went on. Bailey, I thought, was really good. He did lose the ball like a few times still, but he was a player that wanted to be direct. He was being put out wide. He was on both wings, obviously, tonight, and he was constantly trying to isolate 1v1, try and beat him. And those areas are where it is important to find that space, which we did in the end, obviously. So, I'm going to keep saying it. That is relief. I'm so glad.
Yeah, well, I mean, in a week where you win 6-1 and 1-0, who'd think that it was the 1-0 that sort of fills you with the most sort of relief and sense of, I would say, just pride, but sense of, like, it feels like this is more of a forward building block than the Brighton game. But no, I agree with you. The first half felt like a distinct lack of Kamara and Douglas Luiz, really, didn't it? I mean, they are so pivotal to the way we move forward from defense to attack. So I guess I could say it's not too surprising we were quite slow, but at the same time, you would expect someone of Tielemans' ability to be able to fill in appropriately against the opposition we're playing against. But I mean, full credit to Zrinjski. They came here to not only get a point, they had enough chances to especially in the first half, that chance they've got where it goes across goal and Emmy saves it. That's a golden opportunity, and they weren't bad. They were a very, very good outlet that came to Villa Park, and I think that's a real big awakener for us all, isn't it? Because I mean, we are obviously one of the best teams ever to exist, and on a title charge at the moment. But obviously, we're in uncharted territory at the moment, playing against teams that we're not used to playing against, and styles of play we're not used to playing against. That I think we just didn't expect the fact that these teams have equal right to play here, and I mentioned it in the previous fixtures. Sadly, the lost one. But these teams deserve to play in the same competitions as we do. So, it was eye opening, and you think these teams would come to Villa Park and 10 men behind the ball and play for a draw, but no, they only did that really in the second half when their legs started going and we put on the fresh legs, and obviously we made the triple sub that made pretty much most of the difference, and capitalized on the space we had. And I agree with you. I think Bailey had a good enough game. I think when he got the ball, he moved into. There was a couple of times where he shifted the ball really well onto his feet and moved forwards in. The chance in the first half, in particular, where gets deflected up, and then Duran tries his sort of scissor kick to get it back in. And then he does it again, doesn't he, in the second half towards the end of the game, the little mazy run towards the post. Don't think he had a bad game. I think he just suffered from what we suffered from in the first half, which was, and in the second half for a bit, was just being really well defended against. So just brilliant, isn't it? Because I think as soon as the corner, I think it must have been the 90th minute or the 91st minute where the corner comes in. I mentioned it as soon as we got onto this call. And it drops out to the end, and Tielemans takes a shot, and it just sails over, and you just sit there and you think, no, not today. It's not happening today, but it does.
Yeah, we were saying, weren't we? This game was just the complete opposite to Brighton, where everything at Brighton that we hit pretty much went in, and then tonight it didn't seem like it wanted to go in. And there was a lot of shots straight at the keeper, a lot of shots blazed over the bar. We just needed a bit more patience, but more tempo at the same time. Like the team beforehand didn't worry me, because I don't think it's a quality issue. It's a psychological, and it's an assertion issue. They need to know that these teams are going to give you a good test, but you've got to show your quality, and you've got to believe that you are, you've got to believe that you're better than them. Sometimes it felt like we were worried. I do think that a lot of them just wanted that win so much that it was playing on their mind in a sense, and I think this will breathe a bit more life into the rest of the squad, because Tielemans isn't a bad player, and he's definitely rusty, and he's definitely readjusting. Dendoncker is what he is. I don't think he's bad, but he needs someone to account for his limitations. And then obviously Duran, I thought he was okay. I thought he held up the ball okay, made some good runs. I just think the squad is fine. We were all talking about in the summer that the depth is pretty good. I mean, we've got so many injuries and stuff now that's really hampering the plans a bit. But we've got to use the squad. We were saying it for weeks. You don't have this squad and you don't use it. You've got to use it, and you've got to allow them, to grow in confidence. Because if we get more injuries, some of them have got to play.
Yeah,
that's the importance of rotation, not just for fatigue. Because at this stage in the season, especially coming up to international break, fatigue's not really a worry too much. So yeah, it was just a turgid first 45. I think the tactical and personnel changes at half time made a real difference, and we pinned them back. And yeah, a last minute win like that is going to be so huge, and we should kick on there.
Yeah, shifting to a back three and then eventually a back two was pretty much brilliance from Emery, wasn't it? Because he identified the fact that you needed to have those players further out wide. I mean, Bailey was basically a left wing back, wasn't he, for most of the second half? And then having Cash up there as well. We were saying Cash is so much better suited to a further forward role. I thought he was outstanding when he came on stage, played his role to perfection. Obviously, puts the ball in for the assist. That ball he puts in from the free kick that's well worked is a perfect ball in, just needs someone there. And another ball he puts in across the box, which really you're probably expecting Ollie to get on the end to, to make it 1-0 there. That's another great ball. And he has, we mentioned it before, he has come on so much better in these recent few weeks, and he is just signifying to me as someone that does benefit from being allowed the chance to venture forward and the chance to be in around the box. I think he's more of like a quantity crosser, if you can call it that. I think his first cross is always a bit naff, and then the next one's better, and the next one's better, and the next one, it seems like he builds on confidence from his first poor one. Like, he gets a bad one out of the way. I think he'd benefit from like crossing practice in training before a game, is just putting his bad balls in first. But it's John, like, I'm telling you, it's an idea. Might pin that across, to Villa later. Just let them maybe pass you on corner practice beforehand. But in all seriousness, I thought our set pieces were really well worked today as well. I mean, Diego Carlos should have scored that header where he goes all the way over there when the goal is way over here. And then obviously he has the header where he hits it directly at the keeper, bounces out, and then obviously he slides into to try and tap in, and the keeper does really well there. I've seen people call for us to sign their keeper. It does help when you pretty much put everything directly at him. I mean, even Zaniolo's overhead kick was straight at him. So, that does help. But again, you've got to save what comes at you, haven't you? And, it's so easy for you to do things where someone hits it so hard. Tielemans strike, for example, that goes directly at him that he saves with his forearm here. I mean, you look at Donnarumma yesterday for PSG. I mean, the Longstaff shot goes straight underneath him. So, you got to save what's in front of you. The keeper did really well. But yeah, as soon as we found a corner, we found the goal. So, John McGinn, you run out of ways to describe this, Matt. There we are. The rest of it like this. So you kind of run out of ways to describe the man, really, because I mean, he puts so much effort into the game. Bombing into the box as much as he does. So, like, I was thinking towards the end of the game, I saw him do it a couple of times where I could have done that the whole pod. The only reason I'm not is because I don't want to, take it from him. I technically haven't asked to be able to do that. So, exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was a couple of times where the ball went in and he was just bursting to get in there. I mean, the bloke really wanted the win there, and a real sort of, I would say, because it's not like he dominated everything in the game, because that's not what McGinn's ever done. He's never been the focal point of the whole team, but he didn't put a foot wrong all game. He didn't really lose possession. He was constantly trying to G up the players, and I personally think that this season has been a real captain's season from him, because even when he hasn't been performing at his best, he's been putting in the effort and playing in positions where he probably doesn't want to be playing in order to suit the rest of the team. So, I mean, there's no one else really you want to see score the goal there other than Sir John McGinn himself. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets made a knight at any time by the future King of England who was in attendance. I mean, there were 3 kings in a box, wasn't there? Of course, of Tyrone Mings, Emi Buendia, and the other bloke.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so nice to see players like that. You want John McGinn to be the man to send us to any glory, because he is just the remnants of where we've come from and what we've gone through. So just big up John McGinn. And I mean, I think I'm about one more performance from him away from making a silly tattoo bet about him at this stage. I just love the man so much. I'd have his face on. The sentence nearly came out there that clipped up is completely different. So I'd have his face on any part of my body, tattooed on any part of my body at this stage. So just got to love John McGinn, haven't you?
You do. Yeah, he's he said, didn't he, at the start of the season, that he was looking to improve on his goals tally this season, and he scored 2 in all comps so far, hasn't he? So yeah, it's it was lovely to see him doing that celebration to win us the game. And he's come on a big journey with us, hasn't he? He's got us promoted, kept us up, got into Europe, scored a very important goal now to get us our first 3 points in Europe. And when he lifts the trophy in May, June time, then that'll be the next steps. I want to bet the Premier League, by the way.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, talking about the Premier League, I guess we'll just quickly touch on the Brighton game, which obviously we haven't spoken since then. Was just I was pretty confident of a win beforehand, which I don't think was a common sort of narrative, but I didn't see that coming. It was it was an Unai masterclass in how to press Brighton and how to exploit their weaknesses, and we were so clinical. And you got to hand it to all the coaches and the players on that day. They got everything spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you'd have told me after the Everton game that go on Saturday, get a draw against Brighton, I'm like, yeah, completely fine, happy with that. Take that any day of the week. But it was just a barnstormer of a game, wasn't it? Ollie Watkins, I hate being right all the time, but I did say 2 times that week on the AVFC Faithful podcast and on radio that Ollie Watkins needs his first goal, and then he scores again, and then he'll score 2 or 3 in a game, then he'll score again, It's just what the man does. It's what he's built to do. It's what he knows how to do. If he is starting a Premier League game and he has scored in the previous one, he is about 10 times more likely to score. And he put everything the way he needed to. And that I'll get the finishes mixed up because it's a few days ago now, but the one where I think it's his second goal where he's on the left and there are two Villa players bombing in the box and he's got the Brighton fans on, and I went, put it in there then, put it in there then. And he doesn't, and he decides to take it back outside the box and slot it in their post. And I go, that's why he didn't put it in there. Makes perfect sense. He is just so good at doing that. He's been doing that for years now for us. And at some point, I'll understand that that's what Ollie Watkins does.
Yeah.
At some point. But he's just, as soon as he scored the first one, I directly said to the people I was watching the game with, they're not here to confirm it, but I directly said he is scoring a hat trick this game because all he needs is that. I swear to you, because it's all that first finish, the I guess you could say tap in or whatever, the one where it goes cross goal and he puts it in. That's the type of goal you need to start off that game, especially as a striker. Just get that first one, that first easy chance, banged away. And I mean, he should have had 4, really, shouldn't he? So, yeah, it was a perfect performance. Overloaded Brighton with the press. Hit the long balls. And Unai Emery mentioned about the long balls of Emi Martinez going so direct. I mean, it bounced through so many times for us. And it's just great the way that they identify these errors, isn't it? And John McGinn said, didn't he? You either win that game 6-1 or lose it 6-1. And
yeah. Well, it was really brave, wasn't it? The thing that I found most interesting when I was watching it was because I don't really tend to notice the tactical side, not too much of it when I'm watching it first time.
Yeah.
But the thing that was so clear was how far out Pau was stepping. He would press it into their half following Welbeck, and it was such a brave way to try and exploit them, because if they do an up, back and through, and you've got a man that's been pulled so far out of defence, and you've got a big gap. But we were just physical. We were full of energy and we were clinical, and it all just culminated in that. I mean, it was just, as you say, the directness of play, winning the second balls. It was a bit similar to the Newcastle game last season, and how we were confident in winning those duels, and we did. And yeah, six of the best against one of the best teams in the league at the moment. And yeah, I mean, well, they're not on the greatest form now, obviously, but 6 past them is good going, and now we're on to the bigger test for me on Sunday, because I bloody hate us playing there. I hate it. I'm already expecting the loss. I don't even care if that sounds negative. It's just playing at the Molineux, we just don't seem to do well. But if Ollie's on his scoring streak now, then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, the last thing I wanted to touch on with the Brighton game was the one moment where Ezri Konsa takes out of defence, beats a man, and then plays an outside of the foot down the wing. The man is just perfection at this point, and let's not dwell on it. But the fact he's not playing for England is a disgrace. But I'm happy he's not, because he's not going to get injured away at England. So I'm selfish, I'll be honest. But yeah, he's an absolute Rolls Royce, and I love the bloke. And the fact that he can play centre half and right back now is really ideal for us, and it's going to be such a use. Now, yes, Sunday. No, I don't think any Villa fan likes playing Wolves. Not a bogey team, but it's just a bogey fixture, if you know what I mean. Like, it never feels right. Whether they're on form or not, and whether we're on form or not, it feels like this is the one where, it's going to sound so cliche saying that form goes out the window in these games, but it has, though, for us in recent years. They're just an annoying team to play against. They've just got the players, haven't they, that can hit you at times where I mean, everyone's got their own net, haven't they, at the moment. He's the player he is, but I just think we still might do it. It's my problem, and I need to stop thinking like this, because it's not right, and there's nothing to support the fact that we're obviously going to dominate Wolves at the Molineux, but I just still think we will.
It's yeah, it's one of those. I think it'll be decided quite early on, like last game against them when they scored in the first. It was the first 15 minutes, wasn't it, from the corner?
Yeah,
And I think if we can put a marker on the game early on and set a nice tempo, I think we probably will have more of the ball because that's probably going to suit Wolves more. As you say, they've got Neto, they've got Cunha, who had a really good game against us last time as well, and Hwang, he's got the pace. You've got to be careful because they do seem to be set up really well in those games where they're expecting to have less of the ball, and then they try and pick you off. So I think it's going to be a lot about our solid shape when we're on the ball if we lose it, because we all know that Pau isn't the quickest. I think he started to look a bit fitter recently.
yeah,
I thought he looked a yard better off against Brighton. But when you're up against a player like Neto, I think he'd skin most players. So yeah, I think starting quick again is just it's so key to us in general because
yeah.
I think one, it feeds into their mentality, and two, it keeps both hands on the game plan. And yeah, a Watkins goal would be great because going into the international break, and I don't know if he'll play, to be honest, for England. You know what Southgate's like, so it'd be nice for him to leave the club form in a positive state.
Definitely. I mean, he's just vital to the way we play, and I think that another key part is obviously we need to take the finishing from Brighton into this game rather than the finishing from today into this game. Because, like you said, if we start the first 10 minutes really lively, really active, get our first chance, pull it away, then we're not so worried about having to completely take our form out of the back line and playing as high up. We can afford to drop off and play the conservative way we play once we do go ahead. So yeah, it is going to be a real I feel like I always say this one feels like more of a test, but it feels like more of a benchmark for where we could see ourselves. This is the exact fixture that changes us from top 8 to top 5 and top 6. You win this fixture, and then we've won all but 2 of our most difficult away fixtures for the first half of the season, really. So it is going to be really important. It is going to be probably not that fun of a watch for a neutral, I would expect. I don't think this is the sort of game where a neutral's like, it's going to be a bang. It's going to be cagey. It's going to be one of those where you probably see Villa with a lot of possession and then a quick, sharp counter attack by Wolves. I would expect probably near enough the same team as last Saturday, just barring of course the possible injuries that Kamara and Diaby are carrying. It's more cautionary, I believe.
And Ramsey maybe.
Yeah,
Reoccurrence, but I don't know whether tonight was just precautionary or whether they think that he's out for the weekend as well, which
yeah,
is such a blow because he's just so important to the side, even if it's coming off the bench, whether he's starting. I spoke about it last week about his work rate, but when you have that attacking output, for me, 100%, it's not even a debate. At this stage in his career, he's way better than Jack Grealish was in
yeah,
terms of effectiveness
yeah,
because he's just so in that final third. He's got the numbers to go with performances, which was something that everyone was asking of Jack for so long. And
yeah,
he's honestly, if I hope that it's not a thing that he starts to really like pick up a few niggly injuries because I mean, Grealish was the same in that sense. He never had a full season, but
no,
I honestly think Ramsey could go on to be even more of a favourite of mine than Grealish was, and I think it's just because he's so like Grealish was so like delicate. You know what I mean? He was just graceful, whereas Ramsey's just power. He's
yeah,
powerful, and I just love watching him play. And the same, they both carried the ball, but he's a bit like Yaya Toure in a sense. And I'm not saying he's as good as him before anyone goes off, but in that sense,
stylistically, he's like him. Yeah,
yeah, he's got that powerful run, and once he gets going, he gets quicker, and
yeah,
you hard to knock him off the ball, and then he's got the finish or the pass to go with it. So I hope he's fine, even if he's out for Sunday and the international break he recovers. That'd be really important to us. But yeah, no Diaby, no Kamara. potentially, obviously, no Ramsey, no Mings, no Buendia, no Moreno. It just goes on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think when you add that into the fray, that this start to the season's been really decent, to be fair, and that's probably been harsh. So yeah, we'll see after the international break what state the squad's in. Hopefully Moreno's back as well, and yeah, but I mean Kamara's been called up for France, hasn't he? I think.
Yes, yeah. So that would indicate that he's
He's obviously at least borderline.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. If Kamara starts, that's massive in general. So, and if not, then Donker's scoring an overhead kick from outside the box. That's how it's going to have to be, really.
Well, yeah, that's the only real answer to that situation. I completely agree with you there. Those are the only two things that can happen there. I
That's
completely
the
agree.
natural route it's going to go. It's
Yeah,
either Kamara starts and we win 1-0 with a Watkins goal, or Dendoncker starts and he's going to score the best goal that's ever been scored.
and we
So
win 4-0 because
yeah,
obviously.
yeah. There's the two routes. Either one's fine by me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it will be good fun to watch. I mean, Diaby wasn't being called up for. He didn't get called up for France when he first joined for us anyway. So I guess that wasn't really an indicator as to whether he's fit or not. And yeah, the Jacob Ramsey thing is a killer. I'm with you. Jacob Ramsey is my favorite Aston Villa player for the past two years at least now. He was my favorite last season, favorite this season so far. Yeah, he is just so much fun to watch, and even in the limited time that he's had back since coming back from injury, he's just when he gets on the ball, that's football for me, is watching Jacob Ramsey. That goal he scores against Brighton, that's me happy. That goal. That's the only way I can describe that, really. So fingers crossed. It is precautionary. It is just him having a bit of pain there, and then just sort of getting rested, and maybe he was come back a week or two early, and train. I don't know. I don't know how injuries work. Just don't be hurt bad. But what I do need to stop seeing is people on Twitter going, I know something, prepare for bad news, villains. But last time you did that, Buendia was out for 9 months, and I've got trust issues. So I can't be reading stuff like that. Even if don't say anything, because let me live in the happy bliss that Jacob Ramsey just missed today because he had a bit of a sore throat, Just that makes me happy. DRB, you know what? I forgot.
Traffic.
Worked. I can't.
Yeah.
Boubacar Kamara. I left the stew in the oven. Sorry. Can't do it.
He didn't play at a protest that everyone calls him Camera.
Yeah. Yeah. Pain, by the way. It annoyed me almost as much as when people used to call Bobby Firmino.
Oh my god. That's another one. Jack Wiltshire.
Oh yeah.
Well, what is that? Oh, we could go on about this.
There's going to be loads, isn't there?
Yeah.
Benteke, when he started, it was Benteke. I remember that. I distinctly. Christian Benteke. Where?
I to this day, I don't think anyone really knows. Even though he's told everyone, I don't really think anyone knows how to say Hurahan. Because there's just so many different ways that people were saying it.
I mean, it's Hurahan for the song, isn't it? But yeah. Whatever.
But I think
I missed that. That is a player, by the way. That's one of those where in a few years' time you're thinking, wow, what a player we had there. I still want him. Like a free kick, the free kick that happened when we did the nice little set piece. First thing I thought to do was, love Hurahan over this.
Yeah.
Left foot
I was a big fan of him, really big fan of him, and whether he wasn't quite good enough in the end, I think he could have featured for our team a lot more in the Premier League still, like, in previous seasons. So, but yeah, big part of that team again that went up and stayed up. So I love Connor.
And obviously, if you have got this far in the video, send us your tweets or comment on the YouTube video below of other footballers' names who are mispronounced, because that's my new niche now, and that's all I want to hear about, because it annoys me, but it's the fun type of annoyance where I want to keep talking about it. I mean, is there much else to say apart from obviously our predictions, which is I'm going for 1-0 on Sunday to Villa.
I'm gonna go you know what? You got to back the boys, ain't you? And I'm going to say 1-0 and claret and blue ribbons on the Premier League trophy at the end of the season.
Oh, going to the international top of the league. You know?
Yeah.
Possible. Well, no, we'd have to score a lot more goals actually, but you know.
Where are we in our Conference League group now?
Second, I want to say.
I'm going to check, yeah.
Unless, of
Really?
course,
The other team won.
well, Alkmaar on 0 as well as us, so
I'll just check. We're third. All of us got free. All teams 3 points. All goal difference of 0.
Oh, this is a group, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
that's right. It just but at least we're all on the same. You know what I mean? We're not. No one's like on 6 points or no one's on 4 points.
yeah.
I mean but it kills that everyone's gonna have everything to play for.
Yeah. The next one's an important one away to Alkmaar, isn't it? So that's a big one. It's another one where the atmosphere we're going to have to overcome.
Definitely.
I do. You know what? I'm going to be a bit hypocritical here, and I've been talking about how the squad that we put out today had enough. Probably go a little bit stronger against Alkmaar, to be honest. I'd like to see that anyway, but we'll see.
I think stronger away and weaker at home is definitely the way to play. I say weaker, you're more rotated, let's say, at home. But the away
changes. I'd say 3 changes at most.
Yeah, I agree. But not the goalkeeper. Because
I think
just love Emi Martinez and I want to watch him play every single minute forever.
Well, we saw the importance of it tonight, even still at a couple of moments. So, yeah, I agree.
Exactly. Well, obviously, if you did enjoy the video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and tap that bell, tickle that bell, fondle that bell, whatever you got to do to that bell, just press that bell. We want that bell to be pressed. Press our bells. Yeah, so you never miss another video. And of course, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, or the other podcasts, any other podcast here, podcast there, please drop us a follow on that. Twitters are down below as well. Make sure you hit those up, and yeah, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.